Captain's Log Supplemental. No. Get down. We're on a diplomatic mission with the Jojinian people. With first contact, a very new... No, put that down. New species to kind of the warp neighborhood. Their language is a little tough to translate, which is giving our linguist a field day because he doesn't usually have that much to do. But no, out of your mouth. Come here, out of your mouth. So, as part of the diplomatic proceedings on this planet, they have what is a tradition known as the exchanging of subordinates. So I prepared my first officer and my science officer to head down to the planet and be entertained by the ambassador. Well, apparently that was a little bit of a mistranslation. It's actually the exchange of children. So now for the next 2 weeks, I have to watch the ambassador's little brats while they run amok around my cabin. And apparently my first officer and science officer are just having a fucking vacation. No, not the replicator.
Welcome back, everybody, to Captain's Log Supplemental. We are a Star Trek rewatch podcast, cruising through all of Star Trek in chronological order. We are currently watching through Enterprise right now. And, how's everybody doing today?
Doing well.
Good. That is Rob, my friend, who is always joining us. Also here is Stanford.
Yeah, just like this guy who just tags in. Like, hey, I'm here.
Yeah, yep. And Mariah, producer.
Hi there.
So, yeah.
All right.
How's everybody doing?
We're good. But let me. So, okay.
Real quick, wait.
Oh, okay.
Chris, I think you would have been great on radio.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, thank you.
Yeah, we all agree. He's got a sexy voice.
He's got a great voice.
So
I just felt like that was like a morning show getting started. Anyway, continue.
There weren't enough sound effects.
You're actually, like, I've had people tell me that since, like, middle school. It's not the first time I've heard that.
We gotta get Chris a soundboard.
Okay, Chris in the morning.
Chris in the sport.
So y'all know John, friend of the pod, John.
Yeah.
His kids are here today. They are sleeping over tonight because his kids are friends with my kid. And they're gonna be staying over tonight and then stay with us till tomorrow. So I thought it'd be a fun little bit to like interview them about Star Trek for like a few minutes. So I have I interviewed them one by one because I didn't want like the whole group of children yelling at me. I'm going to edit those and put them in last week's episode that I'm editing right now. So like anyone who's listening to this will have already heard the interviews themselves, but I want to relate to you a moment, Chris and Rob, that happened because one of the things I asked all of the kids is if you could have any Star Trek device, like right here, right now, what would it be? And Sam goes, I want a phaser. And I'm like, all right.
Sure. Yeah.
What did you want to do with the phaser? Now he goes into a thing, and here is his plan, okay? His plan is to take the phaser to hold up stores to give him money. Then he's going to use that money to buy 100 video games and then take those video games home and show them to his dad and guilt trip his dad into buying him a new computer so he can play all these new games he just got.
Does he not know what Steam is?
It's such this elaborate, like, 6-step process. And I'm like, Sam, why don't you just steal the computer? He's like, well, I want to hold them up for money because, like, I really want to watch the people squirm. And I'm like, oh, so it's not about the money. You're just really in it for the thrill of robbery.
Well, I mean, sure, I guess.
So that's gonna be a fun thing for John to have listened to last week. In other news, we did finish Discovery last night.
Oh my god.
I've not watched any of the new season.
Do you want to remain spoiler free?
I mean, yeah, maybe.
Oh, okay.
All right.
It sucked.
I've heard mixed reviews.
It's you know what, and I will, and this is without spoiling it because you know the general premise, but like it's like the whole season is one long escape room, and it doesn't translate well. It's just kind of a disappointment.
Well, there's also I actually really liked Discovery when we first started watching it. I think, and I still think through the whole thing, the acting is good, the special effects are good. You know, I even think the relationships are fun, like and refreshing, and it's just exhausting.
Yes, that is an appropriate description for my feelings on
it. Really,
Discovery.
and I didn't find it as exhausting in the beginning, but
it wasn't. No, like I didn't get there till like the third season, I think.
This last season is just nonstop.
At one point, I don't know if it was the last episode or the second to last, one of the Mo or whatever was like, I'm not in the mood for a speech. And Matthew and I are like, episode. You and me, sister.
Oh boy.
So many speeches.
So many speeches.
It's like the whole goddamn show is like, sir, we have 2 minutes. All right.
Yeah.
So when I was a kid back on Denobula 7, like it's, oh, fuck, man.
Yeah, it's, when they got to the future or whatever, it's just like, I don't, no, stop. Why is everything falling apart all the time, constantly? Can we just, take a minute?
Federation's in that goddamn Christmas ornament.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man. So, yeah, I mean, and I don't know. I don't want to be too harsh on it because, it's better than Enterprise. But it is, I don't know. This last season was very, very, I don't want to say poorly written. It just was so generically written that I didn't find it interesting.
I wonder if it's because it was rushed. I wonder if they knew before.
It wasn't rushed, actually.
Writing.
They didn't know they were getting canceled until they had already had the last episode written and final drafted. Because they had to tack on an epilogue because of how they had to end the show.
Well, let me tell you what, that epilogue.
16 whole fucking minutes of film just to wrap up one shit plot hole from season 1 that no one cared about.
We're watching and I'm like, what is going on? Matthew's like, all right, hold on, let me explain this to you. Because I'm like,
I had to look it up because I'm like, I don't know what any of
happened.
this fucking shit means. And it involved a short trek of all things.
Weird. Well, Enterprise?
This week's episode was Dear Doctor Mark II.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I mean it certainly started out that way. I'm sure that was intentional as well.
Yeah, it was fine. I think that's a fine framing method.
Yeah. It was. So we're on episode 16 of season 3, Doctor's Orders. We open in a nebula. We see old
Pink.
Enterprise floating about. We kind of get a few establishing shots of empty Enterprise. We're like, where is everybody?
And I was like, and then Porthos is running through. I'm like, oh, is he all by himself? Poor
the ship is empty except for the Goddess Boy and Starfleet. And Phlox too, I guess. I mean,
my God. Fine. Can you imagine if the show opened up with Porthos in a uniform and he's barking orders at the computer and it's doing shit like he's in charge? Oh my God, what a better episode that would have been. That would have been fantastic.
Oh man, yeah. It would have been a fun 2 minutes.
I may have given that a 5. I may have given Porthos Trek a 5.
You know how they have that episode of TNG where everybody becomes teenagers?
Yeah,
they should do one where everyone become pets.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. So it's Phlox and Porthos just chilling. Phlox is walking about.
Phlox is bad at dogs.
Not Timmy. And then Porthos pulls a lassie and starts running off, barking as he wants to get into Archer's chambers. Phlox goes in and checks on Archer, who's passed on his bed.
Yes,
with
best Archer.
On his head.
Best Archer is unconscious Archer.
So sad Porthos is sad while Phlox makes small talk with him. We kind of get a little montage of Phlox walking about the Enterprise doing various tasks. He talks about how Scruffers did some things and also was a good boy.
Is that a real dog, do we think?
I don't know.
I doubt it.
I don't know. That feels... It was so inserted that I'm like, is that a real dog? Fucking scruffers who walked like 1,000 miles home or whatever?
Right, yeah.
It's
We
really,
also... Go ahead.
It's really great in character moment for Phlox, like looking up how to take care of a dog.
Yeah, but then we get a horrifying shot of his cliff scalers that he has on his feet.
Oh, you know what? I must have been writing a note because I did not see that part.
Yeah. There was for the weird foot fetish people out there. There was a good few seconds of Phlox feet there. It was oof. It was rough.
It was like 5 whole seconds.
Yeah, it was too long. Phlox is dictating on his tablet a letter to his doctor friend. He's in the kitchen while he's doing this. He feeds Porthos what he calls a leech. But
it looks like a mushroom.
It is actually a woodier mushroom. Yes.
Oh, is that what it was? Oh,
that's what it was. Yeah.
Fun. It looked like it was dipped in something to make it kind of wet looking,
right?
But like it looked like a mushroom.
Yeah, it was a woodier mushroom. Yep.
Do you mean like the prop, or was it just like another name for that same mushroom, just in Star Trekese?
No, that was the prop. Yeah, it was like he called
it a leech. Yeah,
it was supposedly a jar of leeches that he was snacking on.
That he snacks on because it's good for his digestion. Yeah. So this is, I'm going to be very, very honest. This was actually a clever bit of writing because like it's clearly paralleling Archer throwing cheese to Porthos, which Phlox has very specifically told Archer not to do. But then as soon as Phlox is in charge of the dog, he's throwing him these leeches. Like
they're healthy snacks. It's fine. They're healthy snacks. So after he has his little Porthos time, we get a little flashback to the bridge crew who are discussing their route through yet another transdimensional anomaly. Although this one isn't as formed as the one from last episode that they pulled that dude out of.
Yeah, they're turning this space into oatmeal space, but it's not quite there yet. It's still like
pre-oatmeal space.
Yeah, it's not like when you first throw the oatmeal in before it starts congealing, and it's just like water with oats at the bottom. Yeah,
you poured the milk or whatever in, stirred it up a little bit. It hasn't been microwaved yet
because like these are like an old race, so they don't have instant oats yet. They've only got the traditional ones, so it takes a hot minute to like really get those oats soaked through.
Yeah.
What is happening?
Do you remember oatmeal space from last week?
Space.
No.
Try to keep up, man. Try to keep up.
So they say they can go through if the crew goes nighty-night while going through it. That's Phlox's plan. He's going to knock everybody out because that'll save their brains from going insane. Trip says he's not they can't go warp through it because that would be too easy. I'm not
like, I don't know. I wish they had just said like we can't warp through it because of reason. Because like they're like, well, it'll only take an hour to get through at warp 4. And Chip's like, well, I don't want nothing going wrong while we're in there. But it's like an hour is so much faster. Like so much. And plus if they went like warp 4.4 or whatever, that would cut it down to like 15 minutes.
So and here's the thing too. They say it would take 4 days to cross the anomalous zone. Going at full impulse. Although it would, like I say, it would take 4 days to traverse the region of ultraspace. Trip estimates it would take 4 days at full impulse, but the math doesn't add up here because warp factor 4 is approximately 64 times the speed of light, whereas full impulse is 1/4 the speed of light.
No, full impulse is full speed. It's light speed.
No,
according to the memory alpha bullshit, impulse is just below C.
This is not the facts I found.
God damn it! You're telling me that Star Trek was inconsistent about something?
So according to what I was reading, so warp 4 is 256 times the velocity of full impulse, and even if it only took 12 hours to cross the altered region at warp 4, it would take roughly 128 days to travel the same distance at full impulse. So,
well, he said it would take an hour, though. So 256 hours instead is like, what, 12 days or whatever?
Regardless, the math was off.
Yeah, all right. They're not good at math. They're not great at writing either, but they're definitely not good at math. But also, like, I don't understand because warp 4 isn't as fast as the ship can go. Like, it starts rattling at 4.8, but they can go faster than 4 because every warp factor is a full 10 times the speed of the previous factor or whatever, right? So, like
that.
at 4.4, you're going more than twice. They can get the whole thing done in 15, 10 minutes. And Flock said, like, a couple minutes exposure sucks, but you won't die.
Mm-hmm. It's fine.
I don't know. I think that it's one of those things where it's like if they had just said warp won't work, it would have been fine. But because they had to bring in this weird like accuracy thing to it, it makes it all shitty.
Yep. So apparently Phlox won't be affected by staying up. So he's going to stay up and watch over the crew. Then we get a little montage of him putting everybody out.
Piloting is hard, quote Fox.
Trip tells him to, wake him up if anything happens, even if it would kill him. That's fine. Totally. It'll be totally fine. Just wake me up and kill me. It's fine. Phlox by this point is losing his patience with the bridge crew and kind of snaps a bit at Archer. And he's like, Archer's like, what? I was just going to give you a compliment. Jeez.
Bullshit. No one believes you, Archer. Like,
See, I thought this was very nice. I really like the little vote of confidence he gave Phlox.
And this is the moment where I was like, I guess Vulcans aren't immune. It's just the Denobulans. That comes back in an interesting way.
Okay. Yeah. So he puts Archer out. Then we get a little bit of kind of more montage of Phlox wandering around doing various things.
So,
and he's like
question.
Exercising and what?
4 days. Induced coma, 4 days. No catheter?
No, everybody's going to pee themselves.
Okay, so I'm just making sure we all understand that like we're going to be waking up in a puddle of our own shit and piss in 4 days.
It's good. It's good. Shut up. Don't worry about it. You're thinking too much. It's fine. So Phlox is he's wandering around, he's exercising, he's strutting around naked in the
I'm a little annoyed that he's not like booming Denobulan music throughout the ship or whatever.
Yeah, we get a little what was I? He's talking.
Yeah, was the best camera work of the entire episode.
Yeah, because it had like a little prop where he carries around to block his midsection. So
he's just walking around naked at some point, which is like awesome. Good job.
Don't see any Denobulan dong in that one.
Porthos is the goodest little jogging partner.
Yeah, he's great. He's great. And then just as Phlox is saying everything is running perfectly, he starts hearing clanging somewhere. He, I guess, writes it off as nothing happening, and kind of continues on. Just as Phlox is enjoying a kind of a solo movie night, once again, we're watching old movies. This time it was The Courtchester from 1955 with the Vessel with the Pestle.
It was pretty funny. It was pretty funny. Yeah. Well, then you find it. Yeah, this is a good scene.
Yeah. So Phlox hears more clanging pretty soon and seems very alarmed.
He's like, Porthos, go see what that is. And Porthos is like, fuck that noise, bitch. You figure out what it is.
Porthos was not on board with going to investigate. Phlox did not take no for an answer. What was that?
Can Porthos open the doors? Like, do the automatic doors open for him?
The automatic doors aren't automatic, Rob. In this show, they have to push a button to open doors. I know we've only watched 100 episodes, so I understand if you didn't quite catch that. But yeah, every time they go through a door, they push a button.
Crazy.
So yes.
So I guess like, do ships not just like groan every once in a while? I've never been on a starship, so what the fuck do I know?
I mean, you would have to assume they would. However, I think for the purposes of this kind of horror themed episode, we're going to say no. So Phlox takes his reluctant partner along with him to investigate. He kind of goes and checks out the shuttle pod bay. Porthos immediately runs off, and Phlox goes to kind of chase after him a little bit. Then he kind of exhales because it was some leak blowing gas.
Yeah, it was just like a
chains,
a tube blowing gas and like rustling a chain. It was like it's just that. Is that supposed to happen?
I'm pretty sure that shouldn't be happening right now.
Like, that seems like it should be alarming at least.
Yeah. But just as he is relieved, T'Pol gives him a little jump scare and pops out from behind him from one of the shuttles. He also at some point during this blames his watching of The Exorcist the other night for giving him nerves.
And she shows up, and I immediately am like, wait, what? Is she awake?
Yes.
I was given the idea that Phlox was going to be alone.
Yes. I think that was kind of on purpose.
Oh yes, No. This is not a judgment. This is a commendation because they did a good job with the way Phlox reacted to her.
Yeah. Were you gonna say something, Rob?
No, I was just gonna say, like, this is the one time the writers actually managed to, like, hold it in, so to speak.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. I think they did a good job keeping suspense in this one.
Yeah, because that's a good point, Rob. Because in the previous, it feels like the way the previous episodes have gone, it would be like clearly showing us that she was asleep ahead of time, so that we would know how clever they were when she showed up, right?
Right.
Yeah, Roxanne Dawson was the director on this one too. Bellona Torres.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, neat.
So yeah, Paul surprises him. Yeah, my note here was, I guess she wasn't put under.
Right, and then, like, a little later, I'm like, she's being weird. Is she real?
Yeah, the whole time she's being weird. But Phlox basically begs her to hang out with him because he's lonely.
And that was the moment where I was like, look, I know she's a Vulcan, but fuck, she would at least, like, hang out with the guy. Like, what the fuck?
She would just avoid him. Yeah.
And that was the part where I was like, no, this is kind of weird. Something weird's happening here.
So after that, Phlox is doing some more work in engineering, hears a noise again, and then catches kind of a glimpse of somebody running along the catwalk, and they disappear.
Some PA who forgot to get off the set or something.
Yeah. He thinks it's DePaul, but he kind of calls her and she says she's on the bridge. And I guess he just totally forgets about it after that, because the next scene is it's time for Num Nums, and they're having, dinner in the galley.
Good God, he put so much fucking salt in that soup.
It was a lot of salt.
It was like a handful of salt.
It's the amount of salt you put in when you cook noodles.
It's like the amount of salt you put in when you're brining a turkey. It was like a lot of fucking salt.
So they're having Num Nums. Phlox makes some type of Denobulan food or soup or whatever it was, and he and T'Pol have a little meal in the galley.
And this was the first time they outright gave you a clue, because she said that she's responsible for monitoring the engines, and we definitely saw Trip telling Phlox how to monitor the engines.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Because this was the moment where I'm like, wait a minute, Trip was definitely the one showing Phlox that.
Right. Because he's telling her what he saw in engineering. She's like, wow, that's my job. Why are you doing there?
But genuinely, one of the best conversations this show has ever put forward is right here.
Right. Yeah. He talks about how he was having trouble being alone, and about how his people are very social, and he's kind of struggling with being alone on the ship. And T'Pol's like, I love being alone. It's the best.
Well, and she points out, like, it's ironic that you're kind of stuck with me, because Vulcans seek Vulcans prize, like, their solitude. So they seek it out when they can get it. And, like, it's an interesting conversation, because they're talking about how different, although it's Phlox and fake T'Pol talking about how different their cultures are and how they've both had to adapt to being around humans.
Don't know she's fake yet.
It's a genuinely interesting conversation. Oh God! My next note's funny.
Yeah, in sick bay, Phlox is dictating another letter to his doctor friend, talking about missing home and about how he's going to go back to Denobula after the mission is done.
This is where he basically is like, "Must suck that your family was destroyed by a space laser, but it must be nice to get back to Earth, right?" What the fuck, Phlox?
Yeah. He goes to do another checkup on Archer, as he's kind of looking out the window, we get a little terror or nightmare at 20,000 feet.
20,000, yeah. I was thinking the same thing. Yeah. Is that Grant rumbling on the wing now?
Yeah. So there's it's classic horror kind of reaction shot where we actually don't see it.
Which is well done. Little nod. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This whole scene was really great.
Yeah. So he kind of freaks out and kind of runs off. T'Pol says, after he goes and talks to Paul, she says there aren't any vital signs inside or outside the ship. She suggests that Phlox, rest. But he says he needs to finish his rounds.
Okay, well, I will say there's a little bit of a continuity error here, because he says, like, well, I haven't slept much. We have an entire episode explicitly pointing out that Denobulans don't need sleep more than once a month or whatever. Yeah.
It was the episode that this kind of references in the opening, right? Where he's dictating to his doctor.
No. That wasn't Dear Doctor, because it's the one where what's her face had to wake. They had to wake him up for something, and he was like really bad at it.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. That's right. Was it? What was it?
Yeah, like don't they like sort of hibernate like for a few days
it's
a year?
it's the Fuckfest episode. Risa, it's Risa.
Oh,
Because they had to wake him up so that they could get, because Travis had a reaction to the antibiotics from the planet or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Phlox goes to check out another member of the crew and finds an insectoid Zinni hovering over her menacingly.
It is Hoshi.
Was it Hoshi?
Yep, I actually went back to check. I was like, did they get another extra that's actually a lady, or is it just one that we
I thought it was just some like random female crewman, you know.
And this is the point where I was like, okay, so he's obviously like hallucinating or whatever. And I'm like,
right.
Oh, but that's okay, because denobulins believe, and this is going to come up later, denobulins believe that it's considered healthy to hallucinate. Like it's a healthy release of stress. So I'm like, oh, so he should be happy about what's going on.
So you know what's really funny?
Yeah.
Like I also, like here's where I thought like, okay, maybe he's hallucinating. I thought that the leeches were bad.
Oh,
like,
that'd have been a good fucking thing too.
Right? Like, I thought we were going to see, like, Porthos just being all loopy or something.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
This is also the moment where I'm like, okay, so he's definitely hallucinating.
Right,
Paul's not actually awake. Is he not checking on her? Like, is she just fucking, like, on her own over there?
Yep.
Because he's checking on all the crew except for her, I guess.
Yeah. He then runs away. He loses his Zinni. Tells Paul about what he saw. Paul repeats, there's nothing on sensors, doesn't believe Phlox at all. Phlox is sure he saw what he saw and says he's going to look for them, whether she helps or not. She begrudgingly accompanies him.
And this is where the acting on Blalock is kind of is not great.
I agree.
She does a really weird, like, and it starts here, but she doesn't do timid and uncertain very well as an actor. And I don't know if that's just like the direction she was given or the character or whatever, but it's
she just seems awkward.
Yeah, she doesn't do a good job, which is too bad, because this is actually because the direction and the writing have her not, like, very blatantly not interacting with anything, because this is obviously the point where the audience is starting to figure it out. So they're looking, right? They're looking to see what T'Pol's touching and whatnot, and she touches nothing. From here on out, nothing happens with her interacting with it. And it's like, oh shit. So, like, they did such a good job with that aspect, but Blalock's acting did not pull it off very well.
It did not, no, yeah. And
which is because she's a good actor. I don't know what happened here.
Yeah, it's like before she was having what seemed to be normal conversations for her, but kind of at this point she starts like just totally just acting like a useless blob for the most part.
There's a couple good lines coming up though.
I kind of wonder if that was on purpose, though. Like, if they told her, like, act like something might be weird with you. Like,
it's
possible.
Not, and that's the thing. Like I said, like, she's clearly supposed to be like timid and kind of uncertain, like the things like fucking with her or whatever.
Right.
But she doesn't do it well, so it just kind of comes off odd. And I don't know if her direction was that, then that was a poorly done direction, because I think that she should have just been timid and uncertain. That would have been fine.
Yeah.
Also, I have another question. So he's searching through the cargo bay with a fucking flashlight. Can he not just turn the lights on? Like,
no, it's a horror movie. Shut up.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry, my mistake.
Yeah. So they're searching around. Paul, just kind of tagging along with Phlox as he looks around. She's not holding anything. He quickly detects a non-human biosign, which he's very excited about, and then he almost straight up murders Porthos when he walks around the corridor, and he just starts blasting.
And Blalock T'Pol is like, you're clearly not okay. And Phlox is like, I'm fine. And she goes, you nearly shot the captain's dog.
Yep. And quite right, he did almost murder Porthos. Luckily, he was fine. Totally not fazed by being shot at, by the way.
Well, okay, to be fair, like, it's not like the phaser shot was there and it's a dog, so, like, how much direction could it really be given?
Probably just thinks it's a laser pointer.
Mm-hmm. Phlox says he's fine. Fine. And he's going to finish his search. We soon thereafter hear Hoshi call the doctor over the the intercom or whatever. He rushes to her quarters. And she's not in her bed. He sees the showers all steamy and kind of walks in. And then she emerges from the mist looking like a ghoul or something. Her face
Fucking
is all
zombie
like,
Hoshi, yeah.
zombied.
It looked like the makeup they used with the zombie Vulcans.
It did, actually. And this is where I was like, don't worry, Phlox, it's just a healthy release of stress. She's like attacking him.
Yeah, this is for sure where the audience is definitely 100% sure. Oh yeah, he's definitely hallucinating. So, he stumbles backward, kind of away from her, and then they cut over to him looking at her bed, and there she is, just fine and asleep. So, Phlox finally admits he's not having a good time at this point. On his way to sickbay, Phlox runs into Archer. An Archer
And he tells T'Pol to meet him in sickbay.
Yeah. On his way to sickbay, he runs in. Well, he goes into the turbolift or whatever. An Archer hallucination starts talking to him, and he's in full freak out mode at this point when quote unquote T'Pol comes in and he snaps out of it a little bit.
Yeah, and he's like, I have to put myself under, and I'm thinking like, oh, is there like another day or two left of this? But it's like 6 hours.
Right.
And like 6 hours. Just put on the extended Lord of the Rings and suck it up, man. Like you won't even get through the second movie.
After running some tests on himself, he finds there are some disruptions in his cortex from the anomaly field. Phlox says T'Pol will have to go solo as he is not in control. She says she's also having problems and doesn't think she can handle being by herself. T'Pol is, this is like, T'Pol is definitely not real. Like, if you weren't sure before, it's
right. It's for sure right now.
Yeah, because she is just acting totally unlike T'Pol. Like, even when they've done T'Pol like unbalanced before.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I think she was just given poor direction. I think she could have done better here.
Yeah. Phlox does reference right after here having a medical staff, even though we've never actually seen them.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna wake up the captain and then wake up the medical staff and then wake up everybody else. I'm like, that seems like the wrong order. Like, or he said the senior officers, then the medical staff, then everybody else. Like, that seems like the wrong order. You should probably wake up the medical staff first.
Probably this mythical medical staff he has that we've
especially since Cutler's gone. Like, what fucking medical staff?
Right,
it's always animals.
Mm-hmm. So they're supposed to be coming out of the anomaly, but apparently they all of a sudden find out they've got 10 weeks at their current speed. Something happened weird.
The oatmeal like overboiled the pot a little bit, so it's expanded.
Mm-hmm. It's expanded. Yep. They thought they'd compensate it, but apparently they didn't.
I don't understand that sentence because it's like our course and speed would compensate. Why aren't you just going full speed? What? And then it turns out they are going full speed. So it's like, what compensation could you do? Like, if it was expanding faster than you're traveling, there's no compensation available.
Yep. So T'Pol suggests, since they're at full impulse, it's time to go to warp. They can't stay in there any longer. They're gonna freak the fuck out. It's time to go. She says she can't help at all because she's fake.
Right, but she comes up with these reasons why she can't help. Yeah.
Right. We get a I'm a doctor, not an engineer. Little Bones reference here as well.
I believe it's I'm a physician, not an engineer.
Physician. Yep. Fake T'Pol says read the fucking manual to figure out how warp engines work. Phlox then hallucinates when he's in engineering. Phlox hallucinates Trip yelling at him about not going to warp. Not a very helpful hallucination, unlike T'Pol. Although she wasn't really that helpful either. So,
not here.
Yeah. Phlox manages to get the warp engine online. Then the alarms start blaring. Everything's shaking. He says he needs to increase the particle confinement beam or whatever particle confinement of some sort. Fake T'Pol is definitely not helpful here. He's like, do this thing, and she's like, ah.
She kind of goes up to the console and then immediately doesn't touch a thing. Like her hands are like floating over the thing. Like, I don't know what you want from me here.
Yep. Phlox then does manage to get things stabilized. They go to warp. They get up. We get like
a swoosh, which we haven't seen in a hot minute. Like straight up Enterprise swoosh.
Yep. They get up to warp 2 and make it out of the anomaly. Everything's fine. Phlox wakes up Archer. Phlox says, tells him they're Yep. Porthos is there, of course. Phlox says there were a few minor glitches, but everything's fine. He'll be in his report. He then walks along with T'Pol to her quarters, and she was a hallucination the whole time.
Dude, his log is going to be fucking indecipherable. It'll all be in my report. It's like, why does he keep talking about how he was hanging out with T'Pol? Like, what the fuck?
I love that, like, they add at the end there, Phlox is saying in the doctor that he's, like, sending a letter to. He's like, I'm just going to send you the regular log unedited. I feel like you might get a good laugh out of it.
Good laugh out of me losing my goddamn mind.
Yep. We get then I don't know why, honestly, that they put the little like meal scene in at the end. I thought that was a little bit unnecessary. Where Phlox is actually having, a meal with T'Pol.
It must be unnecessary because I remember the scene, but I don't have a single note about it. So it must have just been like, whatever. Like,
it's just general wrap-up dialogue.
Yeah.
And that's the episode. Well, overall, where we at? A scale of 1 to 5, where's yours threshold? Rob, you want to start?
No, I want to go first.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So I have written down a 3 out of 5, not terrible. But after having gone back through it with y'all, I think I'm going to bump it to a 4.
Reasons?
I think I really enjoyed it, especially now that I've talked about it, like
and
out
you
loud.
didn't use the F word that much.
I know, I was just gonna say.
I hate you both.
By the Stanford metric.
By the Stanford metrics.
My thoughts on this. I very much, I think that, like, I don't know, it was well put together. The plot was perhaps a touch cliche, but like in a classic way.
Yeah.
Like this is like every show seems to have one of these, and it's fine. It was done well enough. Phlox as an actor is able to hold a scene by himself very well. And I think that the way they used T'Pol, even if like her direction on the acting towards the end wasn't great, I think the way they used her was well done, and the sets were the way they used the sets were well done. I just think it was overall it was a well done episode. So I'm going to give it a 4.
Yeah, I also gave this one a 4. I really appreciated the writers actually trusting the viewers for a change.
Yeah, good point.
Phlox is like always one of my favorite characters in the show, so I think I'm a little biased about having another Phlox episode here. I would agree that Bullock's acting wasn't perfect, but it was good enough to get the point across. I really like this one. This was fun.
Did you say 4 for that one? Is that what you said? 4?
Yeah, 4.
Yeah, I'm with you both. I think this is a 4 for me. I was thinking it while I was watching it. It was a 4 because I definitely enjoyed it. I had fun suspense vibes during the show. So it was good. I enjoyed it. Agree with all your points.
I cannot figure out what the people who rate these on IMDb want from this show because they gave this one a 3.
Wild.
Which for them is like really bad. Like not like really bad, but like that's probably a 2 adjusted for like our general metric. Like they gave it a 3.
Crazy.
Weird.
Yeah, for reference, they gave Stratagem a 4. Like
that's also crazy.
Yeah. Weird. Well, when we get back, we will do a little deep dive. Portrait of a Frightened Man. Mr. Robert Wilson, 37, husband, father, and salesman on sick leave. Mr. Wilson has just been discharged from a sanatorium where he spent the last 6 months recovering from a nervous breakdown, the onset of which took place on an evening not dissimilar to this on an airline very much like the one in which Mr. Wilson is about to be flown home. The difference being that, on that evening, half a year ago, Mr. Wilson's flight was terminated by the onslaught of his mental breakdown. Tonight, he's traveling all the way to his appointed destination, which, contrary to Mr. Wilson's plane, happens to be the darkest corner of the Twilight Zone.
Yes. Oh my God. As soon as you said Portrait of, I'm like, oh fuck, is this the intro to I assume Terror at 20,000 feet or whatever?
Nightmare at 20,000 feet. Yes, that is correct. That is the opening narration of the original Nightmare at 20,000 feet.
Which is very Star Trek adjacent.
It is very Star Trek because, of course, it starred who else? William Shatner.
William Shatner.
Yeah.
This is October 11th, 1963 was the original
black and white William Shatner. Like it's prior to Star Trek.
Yep. So as you might imagine, as we kind of referenced earlier, I decided to do a little deep dive on Nightmare at 20,000 Feet because of the little head nod we got in the episode. And it's one that I don't know if I'd ever seen the original. Like,
did you watch it for this?
Feet.
Oh,
I couldn't find it. Yeah,
it's pretty good. I'm sure you could find it somewhere. Maybe someone owns Twilight Zone. They may have the old ones. It's good. And actually, it's one of those things where it's like Will Shatner's style of acting works very well for it.
It does. Yeah. I saw a few clips,
dramatic,
and it was like, oh, this is good in this context. So this is Nightmare at 20,000 Feet. If you don't know, is actually based on a short story by the same name by Richard Matheson, which was first published in the short story anthology Alone by Night in 1961.
Oh, fuck. I think I had that book.
It is, of course, one of the most well-known and frequently referenced episodes of the series, and has been redone several times.
At least twice, to my knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So for those that don't know, the story follows passenger on an airline flight who notices a creature trying to sabotage the aircraft on the wing during the flight. Basically, Robert Wilson, as the one who was referenced in the narration, sees a gremlin on the wing. He tries, to tell his wife, the stewardess. Every time someone else looks out the window, though, the gremlin hides itself.
Is it his wife?
Yes, it was his wife. Yes.
Oh, okay. I remember him talking to the woman next to him, but I thought that was just like another passenger.
Which
somehow makes it like worse, because this poor woman's like, what the fuck is happening with this dude?
Yeah, because he has a little bit at the beginning where he's like, oh no, it's fine, you're asleep, darling, it's fine. So it's his wife. It's actually funny. The short story it's based off of, he has a wife, but she's actually not on the plane with him.
Right, yeah, that may be what I'm kind of thinking. I don't know if I've read the short story, but maybe one of the later kind of iterations of that particular episode, maybe it wasn't his wife. I don't remember a wife being there, but it's also been so long since I've seen the original.
Mm-hmm. So yep, every time, so he's everybody thinks he's crazy. He keeps seeing this thing out there. Of course, his credibility is undermined by the fact that he's already had a nervous breakdown, which occurred in an aircraft. So.
And to be clear, his credibility to himself as well.
Right.
Like,
correct.
he's doubting his own self because of his own medical history. It's actually a very interesting little, like, man against, like, other people, but also man against himself. It's
yep.
Clever.
Yeah. So he realized that his wife is starting to think he needs to go back to the sanitarium. Tell you what, there's
1962, baby.
Yeah, there's some very some old school references in this one, but he's more concerned about the gremlin that he sees tinkering with the wiring under one of the under one of the wing engines. He makes repeated attempts to raise the alarm about the gremlin. They have a flight engineer come out to evaluate the situation. And the steward gives Mr. Wilson a sedative to stop him from alarming the passengers. He pretends to drink it, but doesn't. He then steals a sleeping police officer's revolver.
I forgot about the gun. That's right. What a time to fly that a sleeping police officer has a gun on the plane.
Yep. He straps himself in to avoid being blown out and then opens the emergency exit door so he can shoot at the gremlin on the wing.
Mind you, I don't believe you can open an emergency exit door under pressure. Well, maybe. I don't know if they're recessed or not. I don't know.
Maybe
it's also a DC-8, so they're not
something.
going that fast, to be honest.
Yeah.
This was also back in the 1960s, so...
Right, that's what I was just remembering. It was a DC-8. That plane couldn't have been going more than 100 and change miles per hour.
So once the airplane's landed, everybody believes that Robert is crazy at this point because, he shot a gun out of a moving airplane. In a straitjacket. He's kind of taken away, but he tells his wife that he's alone in his knowledge of what really happened during the flight. And then the final scene reveals conspicuous damage to the exterior of the aircraft engines, which kind of confirms to the audience that Robert was right all along.
And you haven't seen it, right, Chris?
I've seen like a bunch of clips. I haven't.
Okay. Did you see the last scene?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. So, the camera's panning away from him trying to explain that he's saying, like, no, I saw it. And it pans up and you see the outside housing of the DC-8's, like, wing engine. And, it's like got claw marks all down it. Like, it's not just, damage. It's like clearly the gremlin was chewing up the fucking plane.
Right. So then we get, of course, the closing narration, which I will do because it's fun. The flight of Mr. Robert Wilson has ended now. A flight not only from point A to point B, but also from the fear of recurring mental breakdown. Mr. Wilson has that fear no longer, though, for the moment, he is, as he has said, alone in this assurance. Happily, his conviction will not remain isolated too much longer, for happily, tangible manifestation is very often left as evidence of trespass, even from so intangible a quarter as the Twilight Zone.
So, do you know if in the end of the short story there's the revelation that the gremlin was real?
So, I was actually specifically going to address this because of the short story, we have to rely on Wilson's own account of events. It doesn't like...
Right. It doesn't pan out.
Right. There's no visual for it. So it's just, which I think is much more interesting.
It's far more effective, but I think that as a visual story element, the idea of the claw marks on the plane is very, it's a nice twist on the story. I think that works very well for television.
That's fair. That's fair. I think as in the written word, I think it's much more interesting to kind of leave it up to the reader to guess to whether it was real or not.
Sure. It's like a yellow wallpaper-y kind of situation. Now, are you going to go into the other two?
I am, yes.
Okay, cool.
So it was, there was Twilight Zone, the movie version, which was done in 1980. Yeah, it was done in 1983 by director George Miller. This was a segment within that movie. The character was named John Valentine in the movie, but it was played by John Lithgow.
John Lithgow, yeah.
Yeah, who suffers a severe fear of flying. The plane flies through a thunderstorm, and he hides in the bathroom and has a panic attack. Once he gets back to his seat, he notices a gremlin on the wing, very similar to the original short.
John Lithgow, also a great actor for this particular role.
Yeah. So
this one's a color, by the way.
Yes, follows a very similar storyline.
Actually, real quick, do y'all know the construction of the Twilight Zone movie?
I've never seen it, so no.
I didn't know this was a movie.
Yeah, so the movie took 3 or 4 of the classic episodes and redid them. So this was one of them. They also did the telepathic kid one. The one that the kid that could adjust reality around him and it was all fucking weird and shit. At least those two there. I think there was a third one as well, but I don't remember what the third one was. But yeah, so that's what the movie was an hour and a half of redone high budget versions of classic Twilight Zone episodes.
Was it the astronaut one? Was that the third one?
Maybe. I don't remember what the astronaut one was.
So yeah. So like I said, it follows a very similar kind of storyline. He sees a creature on the wing. It kind of spirals into a panic. Eventually, he ends up trying to break one of the windows with an oxygen canister. He's wrestled to the ground by another passenger who's an off-duty security guard who, for some reason, is armed. Valentine takes the gun, shoots out the window, and starts to fire at the gremlin. This catches the gremlin that kind of rushes at him and destroys the gun and leaps into the sky. Of course, everybody thinks Valentine's insane at this point. Same basic finish. We kind of get, him being carried off in a straitjacket, and then the maintenance crew arrives and finds the damage to the plane's engines, very similar to the original Twilight Zone short, with claw marks and everything. So there was that one, and then there was the 2019 Twilight Zone version, which featured Adam Scott as the main character. Very different storyline in this one.
An interesting twist. I actually really liked how, because this is the Michael or not Peele, Jordan Peele. This is the Jordan Peele version, and I really liked how this one did kind of twisted it to make it much more modern of a concept. I really liked this one.
Yeah, I thought it was. I once again I haven't seen it, but I did reading the synopsis.
Oh my god, that is fantastic.
So the 2019 version removes the gremlin completely. There is no gremlin on the wing. There's no creature at all. It makes, although it apparently does make a cameo, it's a doll that washes up on the island.
Oh yeah, it does. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So the narration for this one is Setting in for a 13-hour transatlantic flight to a land rife with ancient mysteries is Justin Sanderson. Mr. Sanderson's occupation is to uncover unbiased truth. But with an hour left before certain doom, he must ask the right questions of the right people. Landing at the truth this time will require an unscheduled stopover in the Twilight Zone. So, as the narration says, Justin Sanderson is a journalist who is apparently suffering from PTSD, who is boarded a flight to Tel Aviv. While waiting for his flight, he befriends another passenger, Joe Beaumont, who's a former pilot for the company, and an alcoholic who had suffered from some type of failure in the past. Sanderson discovers this MP3 player at his seat that has a podcast playing called Enigmatique, which describes his flight 1015, being lost without explanation.
The podcast is theoretically a show about like the disappearance of people, like the Donner Party kind of stuff, like big tragedies of missing people and stuff. And as he's listening to it, he realizes that they're talking about the flight he's actively on right now.
Mm-hmm. So, yep, he freaks out after figuring out what's going on. He listens further to the podcast and hears speculation from various passengers about what happened with the plane's disappearance. He tries to kind of bother the various passengers on the plane to find out more information, and they just kind of get annoyed with him.
He kind of freaks them out too, because the podcast tells him information about them, because the podcast is like in the past tense, right? So it's like, little did in seat such and such, because I think there's a marshal on the plane, and he wasn't supposed to know that, but like the podcast told him there was a marshal in seat such and such. So he like goes back and he's like, "Hey, marshal, da da da," and the guy's like, "How do you know I'm a marshal?" It's this whole thing. It's really well done.
Yeah. So he does learn from the podcast that the last words from the pilot were "Good night, New York." He then tries to warn the pilot not to say that, to obviously try to prevent the crash from happening. But he's then also restrained by said air marshal. His buddy Joe Beaumont approaches him and says he believes him.
Joe Beaumont, the drunk, if I recall?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Alcoholic, yep.
And understand that, like, he's been bothering everyone on the plane. Like, everyone's like, dude, what the fuck? And then he's kind of freaking him out because he's like, we're going to crash.
Nobody likes him on the plane, yes. So
and he's definitely alone. He does not have a wife with him.
Right, yes, he is alone, yeah. So, guessing that the flight number and coincidental departure time is the code to the cockpit, Sanderson gets Beaumont access to the cockpit, who then overpowers the crew and takes control of the flight. As Beaumont basically subdues the passengers with oxygen deprivation, he reveals his plan to crash the plane to atone for his past failures. I don't know how that atones for past failures, but okay. He then signs off with "Good night, New York," and it of course dawns on Sanderson that he basically causes the crash.
Yes.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Yeah, keep going.
Okay. He wakes up on an island.
Yeah. This is where it's different.
Yeah. He wakes up on an island and learns from the MP3 player that all the passengers and crew actually survived and were rescued. Except.
And to be clear, because this is important, in the first episode of this podcast, it was like a tragedy that all of the passengers were found dead. And then when he crashes to the beach and he wakes up, he's like, but I'm not dead. He like has this revelation. And the MP3 player has ticked over to another episode. And the next episode is like, we didn't know at the time when we originally recorded that, but they have since found the flight, and all of the passengers were alive except for him.
Except for Sanderson, who mysteriously disappeared.
And then it pans back, and there's these fucking pissed-ass passengers all gathering around him with shit to hit him with. It's fucked up.
They proceed to beat him to death.
Beat him to death on the beach of this island, and they're all rescued. The podcast made it clear that like they all make it out, but he was considered the only fatality of the crash because the passengers clearly beat him to death and then threw him into the ocean and just told everyone that he died in the crash.
Yep. So then Jordan Peele makes an appearance and picks up the MP3 player.
Brilliant
cool.
new take on that concept with the podcast and stuff. Oh, so well done.
Yep. And the closing narration. In his final moments, Justin Sanderson made the case that he did everything he could to avert disaster. But in the end, he was an investigative reporter, unwilling to investigate himself until it was too late. Justin discovered that the flight path to hell is paved with good intentions, and it passes directly through the Twilight Zone. So, yeah, I want to watch this now that I've read this, although it is, of course, kind of spoiled for me now. But, yeah, very, very interesting take on
Oh, yeah, and I guess, like, there is kind of a twist at the end that's different from the original, but, like, you know what's going to happen because, like, you know the plane's going to go down and stuff, because it's you can tell right away, because it's like episode 2 of Jordan Peele's new Twilight Zone. Fucking text messages. So you can tell right away, like, oh, this is gonna be Nightmare at 20,000 feet. Like you like, because anyone who's watched Twilight Zone knows that episode like so well.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I did do my producer job and I looked up the Twilight Zone movie stuff.
I actually looked it up too. Yeah.
Okay.
There were 4 segments. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are the others?
There is a prologue written and directed by John Landis, who is in charge of this movie. It was produced by Steven Spielberg and John Landis. Time Out is a reworking of Back There. Segment
This one's
2
about
is
time travel.
Kick the Can. Segment 3 is It's a Good Life.
That's the kid one.
4 is The Nightmare at 20,000 Feet. But the real fun, interesting little factoid here is that there were 2 illegally hired child actors that were killed in a helicopter crash during the filming.
Oh, God.
Jesus.
Yep. Their death led to several years of legal allegation, and which new procedures and safety standards were imposed in the filmmaking industry because of that.
How were they illegally hired?
It's funny. I knew
they
that
were legally hired because they were not supposed to be working in the dark near explosives. They were supposed to be a social worker. So there were all these things that weren't done. And apparently, the little bit that I read, John Landis kind of denied any wrongdoing, and Steven Spielberg was like, well, we're not friends anymore.
I think, it's funny because I think I heard probably from a like a Behind the Bastards or something that like it was because of a helicopter crash and 2 children dying that like a bunch of safety regulations were imposed in Hollywood. I did not realize it was the Twilight Zone movie.
Interesting.
Yeah. But the movie still grossed $42 million on a $10 million budget.
Yeah, because it was 1980,
83.
83, yeah.
Well, that does wrap up my deep dive. Definitely was fun to kind of look into it and see the kind of the history of that sketch a little bit. So, very cool. When we come back, I believe Rob will have some potpourri for us.
Yo. All right, welcome back. For this week's potpourri, I thought it would be fitting to do a tier list of Star Trek doctors throughout the whole franchise.
Oh man, I don't. Okay, Black Doctor from Discovery, S tier for sexy, 100% S tier. What are our criteria?
Sexy.
Personal opinion.
Apparently for you, it's just sexiness.
There's going to be one at the top and then a bunch at the bottom.
Who has the most sexual encounters with ghosts, I think, should be the criteria.
Well, hold on. Crusher's not the only one. I can't think of another one, I'm going to be honest.
Do you want? So how do you want to do this? Do you want to hear a list of them first, and then we can start
go one at a
diving
time.
into each one?
One at a time.
One at a time. It's much more fun to do a tier list when we don't realize how bad the ones that are coming up are.
Okay, there's only probably 2 on here that are kind of disappointing.
So wait, you need to answer my question. What is our criteria? Are we rating based on how good they are at their job, or just how much we like them as characters?
How much you like them as characters?
Okay, cool. Okay.
Yeah. Because I mean, theoretically, they're all CMOs aboard StarCraft. They should be pretty damn good at their job. This is just about how much we appreciate them.
I just had a mental image of one of them like walking into the bed, being like, "Oh my god, I don't know what I'm doing."
The word theoretically is doing a lot of work in that sentence.
Oh, all right. So first, we're going to go in chronological order here. Dr. Fox.
Oh shit! I was like McCoy. Like no, chronological in the fucking universe. Like I do a podcast about this.
Yeah.
Oh man. So okay.
Oh man, I don't want to blow my S-wad early. But Fleck, like I do enjoy his character. I find his ethics can be questionable at times. I would personally put him in an A.
That's where I'm at with him for a bunch of the same reasons, because it's not that it'd be one thing if they were questionable ethics, but they're so inconsistent.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem I have. I put him at S, but I'm comfortable putting him at an A too.
Yeah, I'm at A for it. I think he's very good. He's
that's
good
right.
actor.
This is a unified list, so that brings him down to an A, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. We're gonna average it out between the three of us here. Next up, this is the first one from two different shows. Dr. Mbenga, Dr. Joseph Mbenga.
Okay, so I don't
in both
remember
Strange
him.
New Worlds and TOS.
Are we splitting them up based on actor?
I thought about doing that, but it felt kind of wrong. Do you want to do that?
Well, I definitely want to keep Carl Urban and DeForest Kelly as two separate McCoys because they are very different.
Okay.
But I don't know anything about the TOS Mbenga.
Well, are we doing like Kelvin characters, or I thought we were just talking about main Trek?
We can. If you would like to split them up.
It is your segment.
Yeah, what are we doing, Rob? Come on.
Okay, we're going to split it up then.
Okay.
So I think I'm the only person who's even seen the TOS episodes with Mbenga in it. He's fine. Like, he does his job. It's kind of weird because you see that it's not just Bones in charge of like their medical facilities. He's competent. You don't really get a whole lot of him though.
This may be a racist adjacent question. Is he black in the original series?
He is, yeah.
Oh, they give him at least a B. Fuck, man, it was tough being black in the 60s. Shit.
Was he okay? So in the alignment with that question, was he doing a bad accent?
No.
Okay.
No, I think
did he just not do an accent at all?
Like, I think it was just American English. I don't remember there being an accent. Okay.
Which is fine. Like, that's absolutely valid.
Yeah,
sure. I didn't.
Universal Translator, baby.
Well, and not necessarily Universal Translator, but like, you know, we have a friend who's Asian. He doesn't speak with like a Korean accent. Like, he was born in America, or he grew up in America.
Right. Well, and that's what I'm saying is I was hoping that they didn't like try to like make him sound African or anything like that.
And it's totally fine if the actor like in the newer Mbenga, like that actor I believe is from Africa. So like his accent is native to that actor. But like it's totally fine in Star Trek to be like, well, yeah, he's from Africa, but he's got an American accent. Fucking Picard's French, and look at his accent. Like, who gives a shit? See, I give him a B. Give him a B. If you think he did a good job, give him a B.
Yeah, we'll give him a B. What about Mbenga from Strange New Worlds?
I feel like I want to keep him at a B as well. He's an okay character. I don't hate him. I find his choices to be odd, and I'm not a fan of the like special services
fight serum.
I guess I don't need him to be a Navy SEAL. Like, he can just be a doctor. It's okay.
That's fair.
And I find some of his choices questionable, especially when it's like, I'm going to keep my daughter in the pattern buffer. It's like, okay, well, then why don't you keep everybody in the pattern buffer? Like, what the fuck are we doing here? So, like, I don't know. I give him a B. Like, he's obviously doing his job.
Okay. How about you, Chris?
Yeah, B sounds right. I think I lean B. Well, you know what? I like Mbenga. I like some of the conflicts in his story. I'll give it an A.
If it was just first season, I would agree with you, Stanford. But I really liked him in season 2.
Oh, when he was more of a Navy SEAL?
Yeah. I like Navy SEAL and Benga.
It's like, I agree with you, Stanford, except when you got 2 right, and then you're going to be wrong. Damn it. All right,
I agree with Chris. I
Give
think
him
it's
an A. It's fine.
All right. Next up, Dr. Phil Boyce. From
Who the fuck is that?
So he was the original doctor for the original series in its first pilot, The Cage.
Okay.
He does not come back.
Boo, that guy. I'm going to be genuinely, I don't remember him at all, Rob. So whatever you think can just be there.
He shows up. He shows up in Pike's quarters to like talk with him in the very first episode, and like the opening scene, I think. I just remember him like sitting down and having a drink with Pike. So like,
drinking on duty, boo.
It sounds it sounds like it's like C tier, like he's just there. Like
yeah. The acting was cool. I liked the actor, but yeah, I would agree. I think C is appropriate here.
Yeah.
He didn't come back for the actual series. In a similar situation is Dr. Mike Piper. He was in the second pilot of TOS, Where No Man Has Gone Before.
What?
Yeah.
I can make up doctors too, Rob.
Jeff.
They went through a couple before Bone shows up.
Oh shit, Dr. Gartuzzi was really good though.
Oh yeah,
you get the point off because he spelled it Geoff, like a weird Jeff,
Geoff.
Next up is the one and only Dr. Leonard Bones McCoy. So we're going to split this up between DeForest Kelley and Carl Urban. What would you give to original series, Dr. Bones?
My only issue with original series Dr. Bones, and this is, again, bear in mind that I've only seen like the movies and like some shows, so like a couple episodes of the show. My only real issue with that character is he's like unapologetically racist. And like, I know him and Spock get this friendship and whatnot, but there's definitely a level of like, well, Spock's one of the good ones that you kind of catch from him in the later movies that I'm like, oh, that's not great. Like, what the fuck?
And then there's Enterprise.
What'd you say?
I said, and then there's Enterprise. Like, that's basically T'Pol in a nutshell.
Yeah. Fuck. I don't know. I guess a B.
Yeah, I think I'm B tier for TOS.
Wow, I was going to go with A, flipping. But sure. All right, so what about Carl Urban?
A, easy. Fucking great character. Not quite S, but only because, like, it's the movie, so we only get 3 of them, so, like, whatever. Fucking love that character, though.
I do like Carl Urban, but honestly, like, it was fine to me. He's a B for me.
Boo!
Dude, Bones was like my favorite character from the Kelvin Timeline movies.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
He's so
good. Perfect. Yeah. All right. We'll put him in an A. This one's kind of a little cheat, but Dr. Christine Chapel. She actually makes it to Doctor in Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
Do I have to rate that one, or can I rate the Chapel from Strange New Worlds?
She hasn't become a doctor yet.
Fuck. I don't know the ones from the motion picture because I only saw that once and I'm good. I'll watch it again when we watch it as the podcast. I really like what they did with her character in Strange New Worlds. She is one of my favorite characters from that show.
I agree, yeah. But we're not talking about that one.
So then I can't talk about this.
Rob?
All right. I was going to put it at C.
Rob watches the motion picture every week.
I do. I was going to put her at a C here. The character is fine. There's like the little like tryst thing with Spock through the original series, but it like never really pans out. She's kind of there for a lot of episodes in TOS, but they don't really delve into her character, which
wait a minute.
I feel like is more of like what?
Wait, are you saying that her and Spock had a romance in the original series?
It was hinted at.
Wasn't Spock famously married in the original series? Hence the whole like fight to the death thing.
He was engaged.
He was engaged in there too. It was just like in Strange New Worlds.
Yeah, so like the whole episode with like Kirk is when they go back, and that's when like we get the creepy Ponfar thing.
Dun, dun,
But no,
dun, 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 dun.
yeah, they don't really actually have any sort of relationship. It was very one sided on Nurse Chapel's side.
Oh, so she just kind of pined for him.
Yeah, it was like an infatuation.
Oh, okay.
Finding for the fjords.
Yeah. Next up is a legend, Dr. Beverly Crusher.
The Bev.
Bev.
So
I don't know. Her character was just not well written.
yeah,
in a
that's my
lot of
problem.
TNG.
I liked her as a character, but I feel like they didn't give
They didn't
her
do
enough
enough with
good
it,
storylines.
Yeah, because she was a woman during the 80s and 90s.
Yeah. Yeah, I think B for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I tend to agree. B for Bev.
B for Bev. All right, I was going to give her an A, but we can go for B.
My gut reaction was A, just because I love TNG so much. But if I'm thinking critically about it, it's just like I wanted her to be a better character than she was.
Right. I wanted to see her actually get to be a character.
Yeah.
Next up, also TNG, Dr. Catherine Pulaski.
All right.
Okay, so hear me out.
Hold on a second. So, like, if you watch the episodes where Pulaski, like, is front and center, she's actually a very compelling character. I'm not saying I like her.
Right.
But I am saying that the character is surprisingly well written, and the actor is surprisingly good at it.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think I think with Pulaski you have a gut reaction of, oh, she sucks.
Yeah, and like the reason she's on the show is pretty awful, and I understand that, like, as the kind of oeuvre of the Star Trek community is fuck Pulaski.
Mm-hmm.
But like the show was still so new and already not great because it's the first 2 seasons. Right? She was in the second season.
Second season, yep.
Like the show hadn't even really gotten its feet under it yet.
And they did have an arc for her in
and
that
she
season.
had an arc, and she like I said, her character was very well done, even if I didn't like the person that the character was.
Yeah. So all that being said, probably B for me.
I think I would also I might give her an A because I'm gonna be honest. And this is kind of where I'm rating it, but like I have better memories of Pulaski than I do of Crusher. Like, I remember Pulaski's moments and why they were interesting and stuff. I remember Crusher because she was in the movies and stuff. But, like, and she was better in the movies than she ever was in the show. But, like, I remember Pulaski's episodes because they're fucking fascinating. I might give her an A.
I also gave her a B. So, B tier it is.
Fuck, I forgot about Crusher in the movies, though. I might want to bump her to an A. Because Crusher in the movies was way better.
How was she in Picard? I still haven't watched any Picard.
She was,
the whole show was just so fucking dick sucky on these old people that, like, I don't think she had a chance to be anything other than just stupid fan service.
Hmm.
Are you bumping Bev to an A?
Yeah, I want to bump Bev to an A because of the movies.
Okay. Well, I had her an A, so...
Yeah. Bump her up to an A. I think I completely forgot until I was talking about Pulaski that the movie Crusher, because she was great in First Contact. She was actually very good in Insurrection.
She was.
She had some good moments in Insurrection. She was pretty good in Generations too. Like, she's a good character.
Yeah. All right. Next up, Dr. Julian Bashir.
Ooh, man.
Oh man, I did not like Bashir much.
Really?
I know that's very anti-bisexual of me, and like I'm still cool for Garrick, but like I didn't care for Bashir. I found him to be kind of annoying.
So that yes, he was written that way for sure.
And like and I mean that from like I'm not saying the actor did a bad job or whatever, but like I found the character to be uninteresting and annoying.
So he's an A for me, and I think because of what you said, because of the way he was written, it kept him out of being higher for me. But he had a lot of interesting storylines.
I feel like he got a lot better as the show progressed.
I feel like he got worse once it was the whole like he's genetically engineered bullshit came out. Like I don't know. I was gonna give him a D.
What?
Oh.
I did
Harsh.
not care for Bashir. And, like, I'm not a huge DS9 dude anyways, but, like, there's so many better characters around him that it just makes him look not great.
No,
Plus, he's kind of sleazy in a way I don't care for, especially in the first couple seasons.
But he's like O'Brien's best bud.
Yeah, but he also is very inappropriately hitting on all of the women for, like, the first 6 episodes he's in.
Yeah, it's like the 90s.
I stand by my D.
I stand by my D.
I was going to put him at a B. So
Right,
I don't know how this averages out.
We have
Let's
A,
just go
B,
for
and
B.
D.
Well, we got a lot of B's. You want to put him down to a C, or?
I do not. No, I don't think that he's C. All right. Next up, the Doctor.
Am I allowed to say S?
You could say S.
Like,
I mean,
so
yeah,
here's
we
the
can
thing
say
about the
whatever we
Doctor,
want.
because I will defend that. Like, he's a good character. Picardo plays him perfectly. He has very interesting story arcs throughout Voyager. And, like, he's just a well put together character. And he plays his part well as like as a part of the story when he's front and center, and even when he's like a side character, he does both very well. I think I would put him in an S tier.
I think that he, like, in the role of Doctor, stands out in a way that none of the other Doctors do.
Agree.
Yeah, I agree. He's S tier for me. He's the actor is great. The character has so many interesting, fun storylines. They both serious and silly. So yeah, he's an S for me.
All right. Yes, it is. So, as I previously mentioned, I haven't watched Picard yet, so I don't know how to pronounce this Doctor's name. Apparently, she shows up in season 3. She serves aboard the USS Titan. Dr. Oak?
I have no idea who you're talking
I'm
about.
gonna I don't remember this person even a little bit.
All right. C it is.
When you said doctor from Picard, I was thinking of the blonde lady, because wasn't she a doctor? Or was she a scientist? She was a scientist.
I think she was a
Which
scientist.
blonde lady?
The blonde curly hair lady.
She was an android scientist. Yeah.
Yeah.
The 5-head lady. Yeah. She's got a big forehead. Like, what am I? Like, I'm not gonna. That's what I remember about her. She's got blonde hair and a big forehead. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
All right, moving right along. Dr. T'Ana from Lower Decks.
Oh my god. S tier. Fuck that. That bitch is so fucking funny. Oh my god. Did you try patting the bed and saying? Of course I did. Oh fuck. Oh god damn it. That character's so great. Oh shit! I forgot about her. Oh my god! Fucking.
She's great, man. I love it because she just brings a raw sense of rage to the cast in a way that no one else on that show manages to.
And she's supposed to kind of be like if Bones was actually mad at shit.
Yeah.
Like she's got that energy.
She's A tier for me. The only reason she isn't S tier is because she really doesn't get that many storylines.
I don't know. I feel like her background storylines with the chief of security are so fucking good. That,
right, but it's background stuff. It's not like she doesn't.
Lower Decks. Like you get what you get, you know.
I guess, but like I said, not enough storylines for her for me to put her in as she's A for me.
God, what a great fucking character.
She was a fantastic character.
Turn off the safety protocols. And they fuck in a hail of gunfire. Oh fuck! What a great show.
I love Lower Decks.
Did either of you actually give your rating?
I said S.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he said S. I also said A, Chris. So
Okay.
it's going A. And then last but not least, Stanford's probably just going to scream S the moment I say it. Dr. Hugh Colbert.
S for sexy. God damn, that man is perfect. So, and I will say this, like, there are things I like about this character that, like, not just because he is probably the best looking person on that show, but, like, genuinely he's good at his job, and you see an insight into mental health in Starfleet that you get in no other show. And
that's why I really liked him.
And there was a whole goddamn episode about how his mental health wasn't great because everyone was relying on him for their own mental health, and he had no one to talk to. And then he had this whole like near death sequence. I'm not super thrilled with how they used him at the end of the last season, but like I will allow that one mistake. He was such a good character throughout.
Chris.
I mean, and any man that can look sexy brushing his teeth, god damn.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm trying to think about it because I've only watched like halfway through the first season where they get to the future.
Oh, his big mental health episode is towards the end of that first season because there's a whole episode where like everyone's trying to adjust to being in the future, and he's like the only person who's helping them do so.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because has he died yet for you? No.
Yes.
Spoiler alert! It's in one episode. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that happens in one of the earlier seasons.
I don't know. Like honestly, for me, it's a B. I just didn't connect with the character.
I really like the character. I think watching him go through episodes of depression is a little more like close to home for me. So I appreciated that whole journey he went through. I didn't put him at S. I put him in A. So all told, that'll wind him up at A.
Yes.
All right, you want me to go through the tiers then?
Sure.
And then we can see if we want to move anybody. All right, so we've only got one S tier, the Doctor from Voyager.
It's funny that it's like in this tiered list of doctors, we have the one that's titled the Doctor as the perfect doctor.
Funny, yeah.
At A tier, we've got Phlox, Mbenga from Strange New Worlds, Carl Urban's McCoy, Beverly Crusher, Dr. Ta'ana from Lower Decks, and Dr. Culber from Disco.
Okay.
B tier is Mbenga from TOS, Bones from TOS, Pulaski from TNG. Pulaski. Why do I keep saying Pulaski? And then C tier. Oh no, also in B tier is Dr. Bashir. And then C tier is both of the doctors from the TOS pilots, Dr. Christine Chapel from the movies, and then Dr. Oak, or OK. I don't know how this is pronounced from Picard.
Oh man, we missed one.
What did we miss?
The Doctor, but it's played by Andy Dick.
Oh my god.
Because the Doctor from Voyager goes to be on was it the Equinox or some other ship, and he meets up with a future version of himself. It's played by Andy Dick, and it's like the worst character that's ever existed because Andy Dick sucks.
Yeah, it was bad.
I was thinking because we don't have anyone down in D tier, so we're gonna put Andy Dick the Doctor down.
All right, we can do that. That's fair.
Are we too nice? What is happening here?
I think part of the problem is a lot of the doctors were just fine.
Yeah.
We should man, there might be a pretty handy tier list in first officers at some point too.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Definitely worth exploring. All right. Anything else you guys would like to add? Any more Andy Dick references?
God damn Andy Dick. He sucks.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us for another week of Captain's Log Supplemental. Please remember to subscribe, tell your friends about us, help spread the word. We appreciate that, and it helps the podcast grow. Thanks, everybody. Have a nice week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Captain's Log Supplemental. You can follow us on Twitter at PodCLS or send us hate mail at podcls3@gmail.com.